Here's the final segment of my interview with Kenyatta Turner. Stay tuned towards the end. She will tell you exactly how to do this exercise for yourself.
This is a powerful self-awareness exercise that is like
Yes.
the first step really to transformation. You got to recognize where I'm at before I can know what to transform. I'm going to tell you what the 10 things are. That this is in order of priority. These are the things that you would likely enjoy doing based on your natural talents, your superpower. These are the things that if you aren't already doing them on a day-to-day basis, you want to be, and you're probably trying to. These are also things that if you can get paid for it, even better, because you're already trying to do it every day. And they'll keep you in your happy place. If you think of a Venn diagram that has 4 circles, and the intersection of all 4 of those circles is Ikigai. So the 4 circles are what you love, one of them's what you're good at, one of them is what the world needs, and the last one is, all right, so let's jump into the opportunity. Okay, the opportunities that come with the style that you have. So we talked about the strengths, acknowledging, your vulnerability and the struggles, and I do appreciate that, right? Talking about
Yeah.
those weaknesses because it's part of everyone. This is a powerful self-awareness exercise that is like
Yes.
the first step, really, to transformation. You got to recognize where I'm at before I can know what to transform, right? So opportunities come in for initiator are any opportunity to be in a thought leader position or a position of influence. So you're already taking advantage of that now with the podcast, right? So you're positioning yourself as an expert in a bold, strategic way. And that right there, you're already kind of doing it. So keep doing it, more of it,
Right.
right? But think about where you can grow in that leadership. So, like, you're doing the podcast, and I don't even know all the things you're doing, but the idea is to go, okay, I know I'm this very strategic, purposeful visionary. I knew this before I took the assessment. Kenyatta just gave me extra language to add. I just gave you objective data to add to your subjective viewpoint. So now you got to take that and go, okay, what am I not doing in this strategic manner? Like, why, am I stifling my own visionary ideas? Am I, what I mean? That's really where the thought process comes in, where we would like dig into that a little bit more. But that's how you want to be thinking about this right now. Think about how you can expand this podcast, right?
Mm.
Capitalize on the fact that you're bold and risky and, you want to grow and influence. Like, what does that really look like? You probably know some opportunities for growth with this podcast right now that you probably are already working on because you're the initiator. You don't sit on an idea for too long.
Right.
So if you do have something that you've been noodling on, just hit the button, because you're going to make it happen. Like, you're built for that, right? So think about how to leverage that superpower for the growth that you need with this podcast. I would say specifically because there's lots of opportunity there,
Yeah.
right? Um, and then quickly with threats, and then I'm going to go to a couple things specifically from your report. I want to your zone of genius. I want to talk about. So threats, we already kind of touched on them a little bit in weakness, but sometimes threats can be external as well as internal. Okay. So burnout and a drastic imbalance because you're not focusing on the personal care that you need because you're the speedboat. Okay.
Right.
So that intense drive can lead to burnout. You got to be careful. Overconfidence and risk taking. Now you're risky. You'll take the risk. You're confident in decision making, but that can sometimes lead to overestimating your outcomes. So that's where someone else, you talked about that board, right? Can come in and give you another perspective on a risk you're about to take. Because you're going to jump. You, like I said, not only are you jumping off the cliff, you are kicking people off the cliff.
Right.
So you're not even giving them a choice to come on this risky excursion with you. You're like, my foot is in the middle of your back and I am kicking you off, right?
Yep.
So that, again, that's going to make it to where you ain't missing no opportunities because you're going to take it. But sometimes you can overextend or overexpose in the act of taking the risk. Cause you know what? You ain't got no parachute as you just jumped off that cliff. Now I'm coming with you. So I'm just speaking as a coach right now,
Right.
not because I won't come with you. Okay.
Right. 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 Please let me know I'm not alone.
You're not alone. But I have to say for the
For the
people
people.
out there listening, don't all you may not want to jump with us, okay?
Right.
But if you see that we need a parachute, please tell us,
Right.
okay?
We want to
Like,
know. We want to
we
know.
want to know, Kenyatta, Jamila, wait, put your parachute on. And we're like, oh, thanks.
Oh, for real? I gotta strap that on? Okay.
Great idea. You know, we appreciate you.
Right.
So that's something, right? The threat could be the perception of being aloof or being too rigid, though, right? Because of that reserved nature that you have, that being distant and inflexible potentially could impact teammates, could impact relationships. So that could be a threat. So just be aware of that as something that could come sneaking up on you if you're not paying attention, right? So of the threats, which one do you feel? Let me ask this differently. What strategy could you implement to mitigate these risks while still maintaining momentum? Because you got to move. But what
Yeah.
strategies did you put in place to mitigate these threats?
Well, I think it's very interesting because I immediately I'm writing in this very specific journal right now
Mm,
as we talk. It's my
mm,
focus for the year. It's a bullet
okay.
journal. So I
Okay.
started bullet journaling this year, and one of the
Mhm.
things that I added as a collection for my bullet journal was around gratitude and self-care. And so I have an intentional check-in with myself around some very specific things that I enjoy. It's just about me,
Good. Good.
that's specific for me to make sure. And I did my check-in was that Sunday, I think, Sunday or early
Okay.
Monday. And I was like, "Oh, Jay, you," because this started, at the beginning of the year. We're almost in the third month of the year. You don't
Mhm.
have enough like checked off in here compared to
Mm.
what you said you wanted to do.
Okay.
Right. So I can already see that helping. That
Yeah.
strategy is helping already because it pulled me right back. Okay, I need to make sure I get some more of these off of this
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. To be just as intentional about that piece as
Yes,
being the speedboat. Add that
correct.
speedboat mentality to the self
That
care.
exactly,
I
exactly.
mean, really, that's what it
That's
is. You have to
basically what
just
I've
make
done.
like, you have to decide that the self-care is important enough to get your speedboat energy to it,
Yes,
and that's really key. And I'm someone who has to I am all a fan of the self-care thing. And to me, self-care really is just doing what I want to do when I want to do it and
right,
not feeling guilt because I'm doing it.
correct. That's
And
all it
I
is.
notice if I put it in my calendar, whatever the thing is,
Yeah.
then I feel like I've I'm doing it intentionally. It's when I'm doing that thing when I shouldn't be doing that thing is the
Then it's
problem.
like then you're like, "No, you need to be doing this." Yeah,
Right. But if it's in the
yeah.
calendar, like, go play I'm a drummer, so
Oh,
play
cool.
I put it in the little drumstick right here, my little pencil, a little,
Right. Oh,
so I have in my calendar, I schedule out my time to play the drums by
mm,
myself, and I also schedule time to go play with other people. I schedule time to play my bass. I schedule time to go on my walk. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
these are things that nobody cares if I'm doing that or not. And it's
Yeah,
not
it's just for
necessarily
you.
making me no money. It's about I need to do that for my own sanity, my own clarity, and it's what I love. I'm trying to build a life I don't need to take a vacation from.
There you go.
So if I schedule the things that are vacation-y to some in my life, then no, it's my life. I'm a drummer. I'm a
Right.
musician.
This is what I
I'm
do.
gonna make time to do that,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to get paid doing it nowadays because I ain't got
Hey.
time necessarily to be doing it for no money.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
And
I
getting paid
love
for it
that.
makes it way more fun.
Yes. It's just like a
I
little
didn't know
extra
that was
cherry
good.
on top.
Yeah, I didn't know that coming up in the world. We've got like $20 and I'd be like, "Woo." Now I'm
Right.
like, $500?
I'm
Thank
there.
you.
I'm there. I'm gonna play and really enjoy this.
I'm gonna play hard. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So that's something to consider. So I'm glad you mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
So as we kind of like wrap up and I shared this one
Yeah.
other piece, the report that's really important. Um, Once you have a SWOT, for those of you who are listening, once you have the B SWOT done, right? Like we did very high level with her. I go
Yeah.
much deeper when I meet with my clients on this. And then we do what's called a TOWS, TOWS. And I call it a behavioral TOWS. Most people don't know that term, but if you look it up, it is a strategy that you implement when you take the intersections of the quadrants of the SWOT.
Mm,
So you take a look at your strengths, let's say, and your threats, and you look at them together and go, what's missing here? How do I mitigate these threats with my strengths? Right? Or you take a look at the opportunities and the weaknesses and go, okay, these are weaknesses for me. And these are my opportunities, but is there an intersection here that I'm missing? So it's really taking the data and Tetrising it together so that you can create opportunities from where you may not have seen them before. Okay. And that's the step that most people don't do with the SWOT. Companies all over the world, they do the SWOT, they put it on a shelf, and they're like, look at our
yeah.
pretty SWOT analysis. Isn't
It's
it
beautiful.
beautiful? Lovely. And then
Right.
they don't do anything. Toes is the next step that nobody really knows about. That's what I do. Okay, I do the SWOT, and then I work with my clients over a period of time with the strategy we came up with for the toes. So just so you know, we address
Yeah.
weaknesses, we mitigate the threats, we transform threats into opportunities. Okay, that's like the whole point. Now, on your report, there's a page at the end, and I call it your zone of behavioral genius. Okay. And we've talked about some of these things loosely right now, but I'm going to give it to you straight right now.
Yeah.
That on your report, I'm going to tell you what the 10 things are, that this is in order of priority. Okay. These are the things that you would likely enjoy doing based on your natural talents, your superpowers. These are the things that, if you aren't already doing them on a day to day basis, you want to be, and you're probably trying to. These are also things that if you can get paid for it, even better, because you're already trying to do it every day. And they're keep you in your happy place. It's your zone of genius. Okay. So here's the 10 things. And you tell
Let's
me if
go.
you agree with these things or not. Okay. Setting goals, thinking globally, negotiating, confidence in new situations, taking bold action, visionary thinking, creating and designing, self managing, action oriented, and written communication.
I think that was a good 10 for 10. An incredible 10 for 10. I didn't there was nothing in there that, like, was like, "Oh, no, what's that?" Nothing surprised me. It's spot on. In this same journal, one of the things I've had to pull back in, I do graphic design. Most people don't know because I don't necessarily advertise it. Do make some
But it's
money
on your
for it,
report right
and it's on my
there. There you go.
report, right? But I have to feed it. If it's not being
Yes.
fed, it's it's not a good thing. So,
It's on your report.
yeah. So, like I said, nothing surprises me.
So
Absolutely
that right
nothing.
there, those of you who are listening, that's what that's about. You heard what she said, right? No one really knows she does it. It's not, but she has to do it because she's wired for that creativity,
Yeah.
and she's found a way to make money for it. What I just said, you know what I mean? And so, write this down in your notes for those of you taking notes if you're listening. And Jamila, you may be familiar with this term, but there's a term called Ikigai. Have you heard of that term
No, I
before?
haven't.
Okay, I'll spell it. Ikigai, and it's a Japanese word and a term, ikigai, that basically means reason for being or reason for life. And I'm paraphrasing this, but if you think of a Venn diagram that has four circles, and the intersection of all four of those circles is ikigai. So the four circles are what you love, one of them's what you're good at, one of them is what the world needs, and the last one is what you can get paid for. So in the intersection is your ikigai. I encourage everyone to find their ikigai, because if you can do what you love, what you're good at, and it's a positive contribution to the world and you're getting paid for it, winning.
Like,
Okay.
team win,
They
like
win.
W.
You know? And it comes from a place that from what I understand and what I've read, in Okinawa, Japan, or is where it originates from I understand. And it's one of those blue zones on the planet where the most people live to be
Mm,
over 100 years
like
old,
like ridiculous ages, yeah.
ridiculous ages. So they practice this concept. So that's a
Yeah.
clue right
I
there,
mean,
right?
bigger I mean, that's bigger than breadcrumbs.
You know, and also the word like retirement isn't
Mm,
really in their language.
because of the Ikigai.
Because Ikigai, like, why would you retire? Most of us in the Western world, we're like, man, we retire. Got to get out of here. Because clearly you're not doing what you love. Maybe not even what you're, hello, 5 minute career hack people. You're probably not doing what you love. You're
Right,
probably not doing something that you're really even that good at, but you're able to figure it out. You don't even know if the world needs it because you're
right.
not really tied and invested into the company's mission and values, because
Yeah.
that's not really
It's
your mission and values.
right.
And you may be getting paid for, but you probably think it's not enough.
Mm,
So, what if you could find all those things? You could. I just help you figure it out. Like, I
mm,
gave you some things here that you can use to help find your ikigai. You already kind of
yeah.
did, like the graphic design. That was a key. That was a key. You know what I'm
Key.
saying? So, so lastly, I'll say this as I quick
Yeah,
glance over your report. Those of you, I'm going to tell people your communication style. Those of you,
yeah.
hey, you guys listening, and you want to have a conversation with Jamila, I'm going to tell you not only
Hear
what
this
she's going to,
secret.
yeah, this is what she's going to give you, but it's also what she wishes you would give her.
Mm.
Now, you may not be able to give it to her, but I'm telling you what she wants. Your job would be to try to flex, maybe the next time you approach her and have a conversation, to try to give her these things. Her job is going to be to she's going to be trying to give it to you, but she's
Yeah.
also going to need to pay attention that you may not want it the same way she wants to give it. Okay.
Okay.
So here it is: how to communicate effectively for building a relationship with Jamila. Honor her need to think and reflect.
Mm.
Allow her time to process her response. Present her with the facts. Minimize your emotions. Provide her the big picture and present her with action plans.
Mm.
Don't come to her with no ideas without a plan to execute. Okay. Don't come with problems without a solution. Now, not to say she won't welcome you with open arms
Yeah,
if you don't,
absolutely.
but know that in her mind, she's going to be like, hmm, how are we going to solve this problem?
Right.
That's why I would hire you, is because you will be thinking that way. I don't want to have to come up with all the answers.
Right.
I want you to come up with something for me.
Right. That's what you pay me for.
Pay you the big bucks to tell me what I should do. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, but just know, if I came to you with some ideas, I'm like, hey, Jamila, okay, here's the thing. I think it might be this. I think I'm going to try 1, 2, and 3. That's a happy place for you.
Ooh, sweet spot.
Because you're like, okay, 1 sounds good. 2, girl, cross that off. 3, maybe. Right. And that's
N
magic.
Now we're speedboating.
Keep boating. That's all day, right?
Right?
So that's something important to know. And then the last thing I'll tell you is that when it comes to results in relationships, you're 58% out of 100. That's fairly balanced.
Mm.
You're going to take care of the people and get the job done. That's a beautiful place. As a leader, that's a sweet spot.
Mm.
You handle the mission and the people, and you have a way to balance it. And it's a very unique way. I'm not one of those, by the way. You can probably guess which side I'm on. So, there's that. Next, you're 88% daring over careful, meaning you're more daring than 88% of the population. Hence, putting your foot in people's back and pushing them off the cliff.
Right.
Abstract versus concrete. That's your creativity scale. You're 76% on the abstract side. That's
Mm.
why the creating, designing is so important to you. I'm an 86 on the abstract side, by the way. You and I will spend time reinventing wheels that don't need to be
They don't
reinvented.
even need it.
That's real talk.
That's real. That's so real.
People will be like, look at this wheel, Kenyatta. It rolls and works.
I
And I'm
bet you
all,
could roll better. I think if we did this, da, 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 and I'm all, man, let's put this on the wheel. How about we try train wreck?
I'm all, can we paint it purple and put sprinkles on it?
Right.
And someone who's the opposite of us, let's say they're in the 80s on the concrete side, they're like, shut your mouth.
The
We are
wheel rolls.
not, we are not painting it purple and putting spring. We don't need to put I can't believe you even said that. This wheel is perfectly fine. And you and I are sitting chomping at the bit. Ooh, just let us
I
have
could
that wheel.
just please let me just fix it. Please, I can fix this. It'll look so good.
We know it can roll faster. We know it
Yeah.
can look better while it's rolling. You know what
Yes.
I'm saying? So
That's tough.
that's our power. And people
Yeah.
are, if you're listening to this, you understand the different sides of the same coin. How we need the people to stop us from
Right.
messing with something that ain't broke.
Right.
And because someone's got to
Keep
pull
us
us
going.
back in.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we're like, ooh, but now you know why you want to hire us for this massive creativity. But
Yeah.
now you know why we can't just turn that off.
Nope.
And if you say to us, even remotely say something like, well, for the last 10 years, I'm like, I don't care nothing about what you did 10 years
Yeah.
ago. I got 18 million ideas on why we'll never do it that way again. So you don't even got to tell me what it is. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's a pet peeve for people like you and I, right?
Yeah.
So those of you who say those things to us, we like you. It's not put this in your notes. It's not
It's
personal.
not
It's just
personal.
behavioral science. It's just behavioral science that we don't like that you say that. Okay.
Right.
And you're probably right about it. We probably should look at how it was done 10 years ago, but you can't convince us of that. It's
Mhm.
really hard. It's a hard sell. Okay. So, but we respect you for
Yes.
bringing this
For
information.
trying. Yes.
Try, you know what I'm saying? And then you're very flexible like me. We're both spontaneous. We're instinctive. We trust our gut. You're a little more systematic than me. You're a 73 on the flexible. I'm a 93 on the flexible. So there's that. That's why we're probably over time. And then
Mhm.
last one, promoting versus operating. That's kind of introvert versus extrovert. Easy way to describe that. You're
Yeah.
right in the middle. Again, that's the thing. You'll show up, you'll do the thing, you'll come to the party, but you will be clock
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm there all night. I don't even know what time it is. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm like, "Let's go." You're all, "I
Right.
left an hour I left 2 hours ago,
Ooh,
Kenyatta." I'm like, "Where's Jamila?"
right. And the crazy thing about that piece especially is that, to your point at the very beginning, and I hope you'll rewind and watch this, at the very beginning, you mentioned that this is who you are. Like, things about you will, evolve, but who you are at your core, that's who you are. I've been this that part of me, I've been that way my whole
Whole
life.
life, whole life.
My
And
entire life since I was a
entire
kid.
and, you know, and I'm done with that part. I just wanna end with this for those of you, uh, this is applicable in all areas of life. I say how you do anything behaviorally is how you do everything. So the things that we're talking about here with Jamila are not just specific to her career path or her business. It's who she is at home.
Yep.
And that's important to know. Some people will say, I have to be someone different when I'm at work than I'm at home, or vice versa. If you're doing that, you are going to break
Yeah.
because
You're trying to turn yourself on and off, and you can't. And that
yeah,
fight is hard.
it's not sustainable. It's not to
Yeah.
say you can't do it, but you
Yeah.
can't do it for too long because you will break mentally, physically. The relationship will end that you're in at home where you can't be yourself, or the job will end because you can't. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I just encourage you, you, Jamila, and as well as everyone else, is that if you take advantage of the opportunity to use data like this, especially my data, and I'm obviously biased, um, find a way to use it to build a life you don't have to take a vacation from, meaning that you can be who you need to be at work in your career and business, and you can be who you need to be at home, and they aren't necessarily separate from one another because that's exhausting.
Yeah.
And you're always going to be compelled to do what the report says. So the key is to find ways to do what the dang report says. Stop
Yeah.
getting us, just go get a round peg for that round hole. And then
Right.
over and out.
Over and out. Man, that's so good. Thank you so much, Kenyatta, for
You're
sharing.
welcome.
I learned a lot. It also reinforced some things, gave me some new perspective. Even
Good.
though I have the personal recording for myself to watch it back over and over again, I absolutely took notes. And for those of you listening, why I felt like this exercise again was so important is because you might be at the midpoint. You could be early too. A few
Mhm.
years out of college, I have a handful of clients that are
Mhm.
4 and
Love
5
college.
years out, right?
Yeah.
Because they've gotten this degree, they finished outside of that 42% they finished, but I don't know if I wanna do this. And then they have
Mhm.
to go feel like they have to go take the job. So you could be at any point in your career looking for a little bit more clarity and also wanna be in a position where you can stand in who you are authentically.
Yes.
And this for me is exactly what this does for people. It
Yay.
says, I can just be who I am,
Mhm.
right? I can love on people and flex up and down where I need to improve my relationships personally and professionally, but I can still just be me. And I think
Yes.
that's so important when you're making some type of big decision to pivot in your career, start a business, side hustle, whatever that might be. The thing that you're going to need more than anything when you make that change is the confidence to be yourself.
Mm.
If you're showing up
Mhm.
for an interview, you're going to need to be confident that I'm going to pivot in this industry and you're going to give me the job because
Yes.
I'm confident in who I am. So I love this. I hope I'm going to
Yay.
leave in the comments, show note description, how to get in touch with Kenyatta. There's going to
Yes.
be a link to be able to sign up to do this service. I think it's phenomenal.
Yes.
And obviously, having sat through it with you in this kind of compact way, I'm going to be one of your biggest fans for sure.
Oh, I love hearing that, and I'm glad it was helpful for you. It's always
Yes.
fun for me to do, an uncovering with someone and have that behavioral awakening happen
Yes.
for them, and, again, it's not information you didn't know, but now you have different language,
Yeah.
and that's really what I hope that you use it for to, continue to lean into. And
Yes.
one thing you said about people knowing themselves and why is that so important is that I think it creates self-love
Yes.
when you can fall in love with yourself and be confident, like, this is who I am. And yeah, I'm different from my sister or my spouse or my boss or my
Yeah.
employees. And I believe that self love perpetuates more self love for other people because now, let me say it this way, I don't believe that hate and love can live in the same
No.
space. Meaning, so if you are in love with yourself, it makes you even more accepting of
Yes.
people who are different than you. people
Correct.
who are wired differently than you, people who do things different. Like you may be listening to us going, I'm not like them.
Right.
Good.
Yes, we
You
need you.
don't need to be. You should not be, right? But you may even have a different respect for the influencer and the initiator because you can see what you're not, and you can see the value that we bring that maybe
Yeah.
is totally different than the value you bring. Like that's where the magic I think happens too. It's the self-awareness and the love, but it's
Mhm.
seeing other people and how to
Yes.
love on them. Because then when you go for that job, when you fill out that application, when you whatever, you should be able to see people in such a way that's different, that helps you learn how to connect with them
Right.
better. That's going to get you the job that you want. That's going to build that relationship that you're trying to salvage, right? But you got to be okay in here first.
Right.
And
Self-aware and
that's
be okay.
and be okay. So anyway, I
I
just yeah.
love
And
that. I
I'm
love that.
offering you guys an opportunity to find out what you did with her at a smaller scale, but I definitely want to
Right.
offer you the opportunity to have a little mini SWAT of your own. So hopefully we can provide that for them.
Absolutely. We're going to put that in the show notes description. And as we wrap this one up, it's been an awakening for me. I hope that it gave you some insight to some influencers and initiators in your life, in your community. And like I always like to end every podcast, thank you so much for being here, Kenyatta. We appreciate you. And until next time, I love you.